Salutations book lovers, my name is Samantha and today we're going to be doing another author binge. This is a series that I have on my channel where I pick an author that I've never read from and I sort of binge 3 or 4 of their books to see if I jive. Oh my gosh. What fell? Thought there was like a ghost in my room. That's okay. That's okay. That scared me. Okay, starting over. 1, 2, 3. Greetings and salutations, book lovers. My name is Samantha, and today we're going to be doing another author binge. This is a series that I have on my channel where I pick an author that I've never read before, and I sort of binge 3 or 4 of their books to see if I like their writing style, if I like their books, just see if I jive with them, you know? So I've already done this video with Lisa Kleypas, and that was such a fun video to film. I'll leave it down below. The author that we're going to read a bunch of books from is A.S. King. Now, I have been wanting to read A.S. King for quite a while. A couple months ago, like a while ago, maybe like back in November, December. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It was a couple months ago. I don't know how long ago, but I know it was a while ago that Kayla from Books and Lala actually did an entire A.S. King video. A.S. King is one of her favorite authors, and she broke it all down. She went through all of the synopsises. She did her recommendations, rated her favorites. It was such a fun video to watch. I'll link it down below. And it's what actually inspired this series for me to kind of read a couple books from authors that I've never read from. So I've been wanting to read A.S. King for such a long time, but I've been putting it off because you guys know that I mainly read romance. I've read nothing but romance this year and mainly historical romance, so this is such a different genre and a different type of video for me, so I was very, very nervous to read these books. I'm just gonna do it. A girl can read more than just romance, you know? I feel like I'm just blabbering at this point, so let's move on, shall we? Talk about the books that we're going to read this week. I do have 2 physical books. The first book we're going to read this week is Still Life with Tornado. I actually found this book at the dollar store for $1. I was so stoked when I found this book. I actually don't know what it's about. Little synopsis says, bold, bizarre, and ultimately hopeful, Still Life with Tornado is a vivid and surreal portrait of everyday abuse and survival. Once again, A.S. King shows us how an ordinary human heart can break and the extraordinary ways it can heal. So I'm assuming this is very emotional. I don't know if we're ready for that, but yes, this is the first book. The second book we're going to read is The Dust of 100 Dogs. This one, the synopsis confused me. She was a pirate like 100 years ago, and somehow she got turned into a dog. Or no. Maybe she was a pirate who got turned into a dog. I'm confusing myself. It says that she was on the cusp of escaping the pirate life with her one true love and unfathomable riches, but before she could make the dream a reality, she was slain and cursed with the dust of 100 dogs. Sounds super weird, and I'm super into it. So the 2 physical books that we're going to read, I did pick an audiobook for us to listen to, or me to listen to, and that is The Year We Fell from Space. A.S. King does write some middle grade, and this is one of them. I don't read a lot of middle grade, so I'm very interested to see how I jive with it. I know that the main character, I think her name is Liberty. I know her parents get a divorce, and it also talks a lot about mental illness. I think one of her parents has some type of mental illness, so I'm very interested to read this book. I think it has a little bit of like a speculative twist to it, so very excited. Those are the 3 books that we're definitely going to read this week. I really wanted to read another one. There are a couple other books from A.S. King that sound interesting. I know that Dig is a really popular one here on BookTube. Chandler really loves it. I think that's like Lala's favorite book from A.S. King, so if I can find that in an audiobook, we might read that one. Those are all the updates that I have right now. It's Saturday, so I don't have to work, so hopefully I'll make a little bit of a dent with Still Life with Tornado, and I'll update you guys when I have more. Probably hear some background music because I think my dad is like listening to music or something. I don't know. I got a little into Still Life with Tornado. I'm about 40 pages in. I'm a little confused. Not what I was expecting. There's not a ton of dialogue. A lot of it is following our main character Sarah, and you sort of just follow her internal dialogue, if that makes sense. And what's interesting is that she's speaking to her younger self and her older self, and in pieces of that you get to see what has happened in her life. Am I explaining this poorly? I probably am. Of the book, Sarah is not going to school, and she's going through like an external crisis of not knowing what she wants to do with her life. She feels like nothing is original, nothing that she does makes a difference, and you at first think it's more like teenage angst, but you're finding out that there are things in her past and things with her family that have really affected her. I know that a lot of people say that this covers abuse and really toxic relationships, so I'm interested to see how we're going to get those bits of her life. As of right now, it is not what I was expecting. Like I said, I am enjoying it, but I am a little bit confused. I went through that first 40 pages really fast, so I'm hoping I can finish this book today. I was too lazy to make my bed, and I took off the red lipstick because I was eating fried chicken, and that was just a mess. Am I like the only person who does not read hardbacks with their cover? Like, I do like hardbacks or hardcovers because they're very luxe and they look nice on your bookshelves, but I much prefer paperbacks, and when I do read hardcovers, I always take off the what is this thing called? The words. Anyways, let's read some more. I have not been feeling that great. It took a lot of energy to put on a little bit of makeup and film today. I haven't been vlogging that much. It's just not been the vibe. I haven't been in the best of moods recently, so you know, when you're in a bad mood, when you're feeling kind of crummy, you don't really want to like turn on the camera and film. So I've been working from home, so that's been keeping me a little bit busy, but other than working from home, I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. A ton of Animal Crossing. My sister's sitting on the bed right now watching her tablet, and when I said I play a lot of Animal Crossing, she's like, yes. She's nodding very vigorously to my statement. Just trying to make the best out of everything. We have like this little pool that we set up in the backyard, so we've been swimming in that.
Just do it, Samantha.
Why, Buffy? Which has been really fun. We've been playing a lot of board games recently. That's been fun too. Yeah, board games have been fun. Again, she nods vigorously. And despite my crappy mood, I've also done a lot of reading, so I do have some updates for you guys. I finished Still Life with Tornado, and it was a pretty quick read. I finished it in one day, and I can definitely see why people like A.S. King's writing, and I definitely understand why it's kind of categorized as magical realism. What happened?
He got cut.
Oh no, you got cut. Let me kiss it.
Is this one to connect the band-aid?
Yeah, of course.
Kiss under because it hurts.
Alright, let me get you a band-aid. 1 second, let me get this kid a band-aid.
Time. Pause.
Pause? Yeah? Okay. What was I saying? What was I saying?
About your book and about you.
About my book?
Playing Animal Crossing and stuff.
Yeah, and me playing Animal Crossing. We do a lot of that. So yes, I totally understand why this is. What was this hand motion? I totally understand why this is considered like magical realism, because it's real life situations with a magical speculative twist, which is really interesting. I really enjoy the writing style so far. Life with Tornado covered a lot of stuff. I feel like it covered toxic family relationship, it covered abuse, it covered a teenage girl trying to figure out what she wants to do in life, what her purpose is, which I feel like could be relatable to a lot of people. I did enjoy this book. I don't see this being like one of my all-time favorite books, just in general, like for my personal taste. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, not great, and I don't know if it was like particularly memorable, but that could also just be the type of mood I was when reading this. I also finished The Year We Fell from Space. That is her middle grade book that I decided to pick up. I listened to that in an audiobook. It's a really short audiobook. It's only, I think it was like 5 hours, and listening to it on double speed, I finished it also in one day. I listened to it as I was working, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. The narrator was like perfect. Like, she was exactly how I would imagine the main character to sound like. You know, a good narrator or a bad narrator really changes the audiobook experience. So I did actually really enjoy the narrator for The Year We Fell into Space, or the year we fell from space. I gotta get it together. I don't read a lot of middle grade books, so I wasn't really knowing like what to expect, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I would recommend this book to someone who is in middle school. I would recommend this book to an adult. I feel like it transcends, and the writing was just fabulous. So this story follows our character Liberty, which, by the way, I actually really like that name. There's another book with Liberty as a main character. I think it's Sugar Daddy by Lisa Kleypas, which is very different from this book, but I also loved her character as well, so maybe I just like books with the main character's name being Liberty. There's probably absolutely no connection to that, but it was just what my brain was thinking right now. Anyways, it follows our main character, Liberty, who is kind of in that transitional stage in her life. She was in elementary school, and now she's transitioning to middle school. So there is a lot of change in that regard. Maybe people that she was friends with in the past, like people she was friends with in elementary school, start to change. Their personalities the same. Maybe she doesn't get along with them as much. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the book. So although we do get that aspect of her school, I feel like the main story really does focus on her coping with her parents' divorce. Her parents end up getting a divorce, and not only that, but her dad does struggle with mental illness. He has depression, and you get to see how that affects her relationship with him, and also how she has like this internal fear of maybe of her getting it too, and her mom kicking her out like she kicked her dad out. It's a very complex story, and I feel like it handles mental illness and divorce really, really well. So the kind of speculative twist to this is that a meteorite, a rock falls from the sky, and Liberty is very into constellations and stars. She sees things, sees stories, sees images in the stars, and they kind of speak to her. So this rock falls from the sky, she feels connected to it, and she starts talking to it and finding solace in it, and that's kind of like the speculative twist to it. What's really interesting is when I was reading Goodreads, someone had said like the rock falling from the sky was like a metaphor of the burden that falls on children when they're going through parents divorcing, and I thought that was really deep and interesting, and like now thinking back, like it is kind of a really good metaphor. Really liked this book. I enjoyed it a little bit more than Still Life with Tornado. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Even though we followed our character for a very short period of time, I felt like we got to see a lot of growth. She was so many things. She was a big sister. She was a student in high school. She was a daughter. She was trying to find her path, and, you know, trying to see what she wanted to do with her life and what she wanted to do with this connection that she felt to the stars. And I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it to any age, really. Even though it's a middle grade book, I feel like anyone can read it and enjoy it. So 2 thumbs up, 4 out of 5 stars. So those are the 2 books that I finished, and those are my 2 little updates. I did start Dust of 100 Dogs, but I'm only 36 pages in, so I will update you guys when I have a little bit more information. Like I said, I'm only 36 pages in, and it's already pretty weird. So apparently she was a pirate who found some treasure and wanted to live the rest of her life with like her one true love, but she ended up getting cursed as a dog and then turned into like a teenager, and she's having to deal with regular teenage stuff like college applications and school and hormones, but all she wants to do is go back and find this treasure that she buried like 100 years ago, which seems kind of unrealistic. Okay, I know like being turned into a dog and stuff is not realistic, but it just seems unrealistic that 100 years later the same treasure will be in the same spot. Like the tide didn't change, or people didn't find it maybe when they were trying to build something. I feel like if she ends up finding this treasure, like that's gonna be kind of crazy. She must have hid it in a really good spot that in 100 years nobody found it. Okay, maybe I'm just thinking too much on it. I will update you guys later. Hello. Don't I just look fabulous? You know, hormonal acne, lack of sleep really does stuff for me. Anyways, I'm reading Dust of 100 Dogs. I wasn't vibing with it, but now we vibing. I'm into it. I put like a spoiler section, but if this does not go in the direction that I think it's going, I would think it would be really cool if Sean, her like long lost dead lover, her one true love, if he reincarnated, can I speak? If he's Sam, the guy from her school who moved into town, if that's him reincarnated, that would be so cool. That would like make my life. So I really hope that's what direction we're going. But I don't know. I don't know if that was a spoiler, because what if that doesn't happen? But if that does happen, I guessed it. So it didn't happen. I was so wrong. I think I have more of like a romance mentality, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she got reincarnated. No. I'm currently wearing Christmas pajamas at this moment. I have no makeup on my face, and it's almost midnight. So I'm a little bit of a mess. But I finished The Dust of 100 Dogs. How to describe this book and my thoughts. I kind of was a little bit right with my prediction. Not really, but kind of. I really enjoyed the ending of this book. I feel like the ending was perfectly written. I thought it was headed in a different direction, but I really appreciate the ending. I don't want to like spoil anything for you, but was I holding this book back upside down the whole time? Oh well. This is easily, probably, one of the weirdest books that I have ever read. The concept of this book is so unique. The writing is so different, and it was very interesting. You get like little inserts of her life in different stages. So you get to see her life when she was a pirate, and she met the love of her life, and she lost the love of her life. You get to see her life as a dog. As a dog. You literally get chapters of her as a dog. Very weird, but also very interesting. And then you get to see her life 300 years later as a teenager, kind of trying to go back to the life she once had and the love that she once had. I don't know why I can't like describe this book other than that it was weird, but in a good way. I think I'm gonna give this like a solid 3.5 star rating. The beginning of the book was super interesting. Like I said, the concept was completely unique, nothing like I've ever read before, and I think that is kind of how A.S. King's writing style is. I've really never read anything like her before. Well, you know what? I don't read a lot of magical realism, so I don't know if this is conducive to the genre, but I feel like this was a good entry into magical realism for me. Besides like pirates and dogs, this book had a lot of commentary as well. I feel like it talked about women empowerment. I feel like it talked about racism and humanity as a whole, and it was just really interesting. The beginning was very interesting, and I absolutely loved the ending and how it was written. However, I did lose interest towards the middle of the book. I found myself skimming some of the chapters. I just really wasn't that interested. So I think enjoyment level, it was about a 3.5 star rating. Yeah. Okay. I already feel like I kind of talked about the other books, but we'll sort of wrap it up. Still Life with Tornado, that was a solid 3-star rating. As I was editing this beginning of the video, I realized that I said this book wasn't anything memorable, and I now realize how pretentious that sounds. This book could be important to so many people, and I feel like it is important to have books that discuss heavy topics like this. So how do I put a rating on it? For me, I rate books based on pure enjoyment, and although I can acknowledge that the topics discussed in this book were discussed in a very tactful and unique way, the writing was very well done, I can acknowledge those things, but it was still like a 3-star rating. I'm sticking with that rating, even though I'm like, how do I put a rating on a book like this? Am I making any sense? No. Then the last book that we read was The Year We Fell from Space. I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed A.S. King's writing as a whole, but I feel like I just connected to this book the most. It was a really enjoyable audiobook. I would really like to have the physical book as well. I'm really happy that I did this video though, because if nothing else, it kind of opened my eyes to middle grade, and it made me realize that that's a genre that I really haven't read from and I've been totally ignoring. So I'm really happy that I read The Year We Fell from Space, because now it's going to make me want to pick up more middle grade. I do really want to pick up her other middle grade novel. What's that book called? Me and Marvin Gardens, I think it's called. That book discovers like some environmental issues and how we treat the planet. So I think that's something I would really enjoy. I did see that it was on Thrift Books, so I might pick that one up. So, A is King. How do we feel? We had 2 3-star books and we had 1 4-star book. This week has been a little bit weird because I haven't felt that great, so yeah, I definitely like doing these author binge videos because it definitely gives me a feel for like an author's writing and if I'm going to enjoy more books for them. I do plan on doing more videos like this. I think my next video is either going to be Johanna Lindsey or Kerrigan Byrne. We're going to go back to our historical romance vibe because that's just what I've been into recently. That's all I have to say. My brain is like complete mush at this point. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you're all staying happy and healthy and I'll see you next time. Bye!